You're not being responsible when you keep researching dopamine. You're delaying in a way that still lets you feel competent. It shows up late at night. You're one tab away from starting, and you click one more paper anyway. If I just understand how dopamine rewards work, I can engineer the right hooks and motivation instead of guessing, so it's responsible to keep studying this before I act. That thought sounds careful. It's also convenient. You study dopamine to avoid the work you claim matters. More knowledge and more tools still end in the same delay. Because learning feels clean, it feels like progress you can't ruin, and it protects a specific image of you. The rational person, the person who doesn't waste effort, the person who doesn't start sloppy. If you act now, results become real, measurable, exposing. So, you keep it in the safe zone. You bookmark dopamine threads like they'll turn into output. You add tools that make you feel serious. A habit app, a tracker, a dashboard that looks like change. You tweak conditions so starting feels justified. A different playlist, a different routine, a different morning plan. That's the trade. Certainty first, action later. And you call it discipline, but the order tells the truth. What you're protecting is not your time, it's your self-image under imperfect results. Because the moment you do the thing, you risk finding out you're average at it, or inconsistent, or slower than you want to be. Studying dopamine solves that problem without risk. It gives you a reason to wait that doesn't sound like fear. It also keeps the outcome untested. No bad draft, no missed rep, no awkward first attempt. So the contradiction stays intact. You say you want momentum, but you only accept momentum that starts clean. Dopamine models describe reward learning. They don't hand you commitment on demand. You can understand the mechanism and still not move. Because understanding is not exposure to doing. This is the category error. You treat explanation like it can produce control. Learning gives you a clean sense of progress. You can repeat it back and refine your theory. And because it feels like progress, it becomes permission. Permission to delay without admitting you delayed. Meanwhile, the actual task stays untested. Skill stays unbuilt. Tolerance stays untrained. You're swapping control by repetition for control by explanation. One produces evidence, the other produces comfort. Look at the visible pattern. More researching, more optimizing, more tweaking, then a strange gap, very little output. That gap is the loop. The more you explain, the less you have to risk being a beginner. Here's the flip. This isn't low motivation, it's a high standard for starting. You're not trying to understand dopamine, you're trying to remove risk from action. So you reach for the safest move, the move that cannot fail. You sit there choosing between one more article and 3 minutes of the task. The article feels responsible because it can't expose you. 3 minutes can. 3 minutes produces evidence. And evidence is what you've been avoiding, not because it hurts, but because it collapses your story. Now the cost compounds. Every delay raises your minimum acceptable start condition. You need more clarity, more energy, more time, more perfect alignment. That shrinks the number of moments that feel valid to begin. Normal moments start to feel wrong. Then the task becomes identity relevant. Not doing it stays private. Doing it becomes a statement. So the stakes rise without you noticing. Being a beginner starts to feel like being exposed. That's why the usual fixes keep failing. They keep the same rule. You only act when it feels engineered and safe. You switch productivity systems. You get a brief spike, then you rebuild the same delay with new labels. You consume more neuroscience content. It feels sophisticated, and it keeps you in preparation. You wait for the right mood or the right window. Now starting is a rare event instead of a normal behavior. You add extrinsic rewards and gamification. Now you're managing the reward instead of touching the work. None of that creates reliability. It just expands the permission structure. And the trap tightens because knowledge multiplies justification. The more you learn, the more reasons you can generate for not starting yet. That's why this feels responsible. Responsibility is being used as cover. If you want proof, notice what happens when a task matters. You don't do less research. You do more. Not because it helps, because it postpones the moment you can be wrong. 1. Pick the next task you're avoiding. Do 2 minutes of it now. 2. Stop. Write one plain sentence. What happened when I started? 3. Then, and only then, you're allowed to read one thing to adjust. If you need one more explanation, you're not preparing. You're postponing. Do it within the next hour. No setup. No optimization. No special window. This is why the dopamine studying was avoidance dressed as responsibility. This breaks the disguise by forcing contact with the task first. And this is what changes in the decision moment. You stop asking for permission to feel ready. You switch progress from prediction to evidence. Evidence lowers uncertainty faster than analysis. Understanding isn't leverage when it replaces exposure to doing. It becomes protection. What changes immediately is the starting standard. It drops back to something you can meet. Action becomes testable again. And the task stops being a theory you manage. Explanation can act like protection. More learning can deepen delay. Use the proof of action protocol. What are you calling responsible that is actually avoidance?